A company I spoke with recently had an interesting problem. They found out that over half their team was already using AI tools every day, writing emails, summarizing documents, drafting proposals, and not a single person in management knew it was happening. When leadership finally discovered this, their first reaction was to call IT. They wanted firewalls, they wanted access restrictions, they wanted someone to lock it down. But the actual problem had nothing to do with technology. Before I get into why, a quick note. What you are watching right now is an AI clone of me, Ronald. I use it intentionally because AI is not something I just talk about. It is part of how I work every single day. If you are someone who runs a business or manages a team, and you want a calm, grounded perspective on what AI actually means for operations, consider subscribing. No hype here, just honest thinking. They treated the situation like a security breach, and from the outside, you could understand why. Employees were pasting internal data into tools that nobody had approved. Client names, revenue numbers, project details, going into systems the company did not control. The instinct was to restrict access, block certain websites, maybe roll out an approved tool behind a VPN. But here is what actually happened. The employees were not being careless. They were being resourceful. They had found ways to do their work faster, and nobody had given them a better alternative. There was no AI policy, no approved tools, no guidance whatsoever. The security gap was not a hole in the firewall. It was a hole in the decision-making. This pattern shows up far more often than most people realize, and it is the core of what my company, Datawonder, deals with daily. We help businesses implement AI and automation in a way that actually fix their operations. And what I can tell you from that work is this. The security conversation almost always starts in the wrong place. Companies focus on the tools. Which platform is safe? Which one is certified? Which one encrypts data properly? These are valid questions, but they are second in line. The first question should be, what decisions have we actually made about how AI fits into our work? Because when you skip that step, you do not get a security problem. You get an environment where security problems are guaranteed. Think about it like this. If a company gives every employee a laptop, but never defines what software they can install, what websites they can visit on the company network, or how they should handle sensitive files, you would not blame the employee when something goes wrong. You would look at the person who handed out the laptops without a plan. That's exactly what's happening with AI right now. The tools are everywhere. They are free or nearly free. They are easy to access. And most leadership teams have made zero formal decisions about how they should be used inside the business. The absence of a decision is itself a decision, and it is usually the most dangerous one. If you're finding this useful, a quick tap on the like button helps more people find this kind of content. Now, here is where it gets more interesting. The companies that do respond often make it worse. They panic. They ban AI tools entirely. And what happens next is predictable. Employees keep using them anyway. They just hide it. Instead of pasting data into a known tool on a company device, they open their personal phone under the desk and use it there. Now you have the same security risk, except with zero visibility. A ban does not remove the behavior. It removes your ability to see it. This is a management principle, not a technology principle. You cannot secure what you refuse to acknowledge exists. And right now, a large number of companies are in exactly that position. They know their people are using AI. They are uncomfortable with it, and instead of making a decision, they are hoping the problem stays small enough to ignore. It will not, because the deeper issue here is not about individual tools or individual employees. It is about organizational readiness. Security is not a feature you install. It is a behavior you design for. When a company decides to integrate AI properly, what that actually looks like is a set of clear operational decisions. Which workflows benefit from AI assistance? What data is allowed to enter external systems? What tools are approved and supported? Who is responsible when something goes wrong? and how the team gets trained, not just on the tool, but on the boundaries. These are management decisions, every single one of them, and the companies that make these decisions early do not just reduce risk, they move faster, because now their teams are not guessing. They are not sneaking tools into their workflow hoping nobody notices. They are working within a framework that supports them. That is the part most people miss. Good AI security is not about restriction. It is about clarity. When people know what is expected, they follow it. When they are left in the dark, they improvise. And improvisation with sensitive data is where real damage happens. There is a second-order effect here that deserves attention too. When a company avoids making clear decisions about AI, it does not just create security risks. It creates a culture of hesitation. The best employees, the ones who want to innovate and improve, they start to hold back. They see that leadership has no position, no framework, no direction, and they interpret that silence as resistance. So the very people who could help the company move forward are the ones who slow down, not because they are not capable, but because nobody in charge gave them permission to act. And that is the real cost. Not a data breach, not a compliance fine, but the slow erosion of momentum inside a company that is waiting for someone to make a decision. The companies I work with that get this right all share one trait. They do not start with the technology. They start with the conversation. What are we trying to protect? What are we trying to enable? That conversation does not require a technical background. It requires leadership willing to sit down and define how their organization works with AI. Not in theory, in practice, with specifics. If you manage a team or run a company, I would genuinely like to know, has your organization made a formal decision about AI use? Or is it still something people are figuring out on their own? Leave a comment. I read them, and the answers are always more revealing than you would expect. Because at the end of the day, AI security is not a technology category. It is a leadership category. And the companies that treat it that way are the ones that end up in a far stronger position. Not because they bought the right tool, but because someone in the room made the decision that needed to be made.